You love Dune? Like me? Frank Herbert is dead wrong. Fear is not the mind killer. Denial is. You're listening to AutisticAF Out Loud. One voice, raw, real, fiercely neurodivergent since 1953. Season 5, Episode 5, Attacks on Neurodivergence, Facing Our Fears, Finding Our Strength. Today we're talking threats, resistance, and the power of 100 million voices. Just one autistic elder's truth. I'm Johnny Profane. Content note: political violence, eugenics, genocide, institutionalized discrimination, systemic oppression, plus experiences and opinions of one autistic voice in my 70s. You love Dune? Like me? Frank Herbert is dead wrong. Fear is not the mind killer. Denial is. I must honor my fear. Fear is my guardian, my junkyard dog, my screaming siren. Fear is the warning of annihilation. It must be heeded. I will embrace my fear, then share its wisdom. I will let it flow through me, become purpose and strength. And when we have acted, I will remember its lessons. Where the beast of fear once stood, we will now stand. We will abide, stronger for having feared than acted together. Trust me, I know a lot about fear. I'm autistic, ADHD, too, in my 70s, living in dangerous times in America, and we got a lot more to fear than fear itself. Hey, you know how this works. If this resonates, now might be a good time to like, share, maybe text a link to a friend. Really helps get the word out. Trump administration identifies autism and ADHD as dire threats to the American people. Some folks called this headline hyperbole, clickbait exaggeration, to my face, with hostility, calling out what they see as fear-mongering. One fellow autist on LinkedIn really tore me a new one along those lines. Tried to, anyways. I got a bit strong on her ass, so she blocked me, exercising her denial. But this is how it starts. The White House labeled us a dire threat. Not as evil actors, but based on our condition, our existence itself. Autism as a dire threat, not a difference. Then throwing out a gratuitous observation. 77% of young adults do not qualify for the military, based in larger part on their health scores. As if that is how America now measures the value of our lives, as cannon fodder. As if there aren't now, and haven't been throughout history, neurodivergent warriors, demonizing all the disabled, all the different, as if we are the ones destroying America. I'm struggling. I'm terrified. Even knowing that cruel terror is their purpose. Didn't help watching Man in the High Castle lately. The scene where ashes are falling because they're cremating the old and defective. I'm toast. About 143 in the YouTube, linked in text. This terror? Not just my personal problem. We neurodivergents ain't a small marginalized group. The numbers tell a bigger story. About 30 million Americans have direct family ties to an autistic person. Roughly another 30 million have cousins or close relatives who are autistic. 60 million. That's 1 in 6 Americans with close autistic connections. But we're just getting started. Add in ADHD, even accounting for overlap between conditions, the numbers become staggering. 69 million Americans have immediate family members affected. 75 million have extended family affected. Nearly 1 in 4 American families impacted. Without considering the millions of families affected by other disabilities. All these figures are back of the envelope. Conservative estimates from current prevalence rates. No formal research exists yet on these numbers. But the truth is clear. We're talking 1 in 4 American families. Let that sink in. When do we stop seeing these numbers as statistics and start seeing the faces of neighbors, your friends, your loved ones? When are we ready to stand together? Even if they don't round us all up right away, they're already killing education programs. For autism, ADHD, intellectual disabilities, speech, hearing, vision, physical disabilities. Personally, I'm secretly pleased to see torturous ABA-based programs unfunded. Applied behavioral analysis forces change on helpless autistic children. Screw that noise. But caring parents across the nation, they want support for their kids. They're showing up at town halls, getting loud about these recent cuts, expressing fear and anger. Hurting kids cuts deep and wide. Worse yet, over 80% of us autistics are unemployed or underemployed. Think about it. That means killing our Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, food stamps, housing, etc. That's institutionalized economic violence, a soft means of killing us off. And soft genocide is the deadliest kind. It goes unnoticed, unmourned. But hey, it's not only lost benefits I'm worried about. Underlying many of Trump's policies? Turn over a rock on most, you'll find the sinister grin of eugenics staring up at you. That debunked, unscientific program to improve human breeding stock by terminating the reproduction of undesirables by any means necessary. Isolation, deportation, starvation, illness, violence, death, just like Nazi Germany, against all disabilities. Libertarian survival of the fittest, at its finest. Ayn Rand would be so proud. Meritocracy, my ass. Denial begins with dismissal. Violence begins with hate speech. Notice the subtle, insidious damage done here, labeling neurodivergence and other differences as dire threats. That may be the most dangerous aspect of this White House publication. like they weaponized disability, equity, and inclusion, DEI, through propaganda. It's how it starts. The slow slide to genocide. We've seen this before. The marginalization of minorities. Do you want a blind person at the FAA? Would you trust a paralyzed person holding your life in their hands? Do you see a woman on the front lines defending you? A transgender? How about an immigrant raping your daughter? Mockery becomes hate speech, becomes mass hatred, becomes normalized violence. It's right there in the authoritarian, even fascist playbook. Now, it's the American way. First, we're other. Then, we're less than human. A burden, a danger. Finally, a target for violence. And hate crimes against Americans with disabilities have risen 29.5% over the last 5 years, as American political discourse has darkened. See what I mean? Can we turn our horror into action? The very point of these propaganda tactics is terror, threatening humans' income, medical care, housing, lives. That's terrorism. How can we possibly fight our fear becoming terror? This may encourage you. The sheer number of American families who are seeing their loved ones threatened. 100 million or more affected American disabled families. I believe we can raise a decent reaction if we act together. I've proven over and over again in my life I'm no leader. Executive functioning? Hell, I struggle to find topic sentences. Decisions over local action, political organization, resistance demonstrations? Beyond me. So, I'm not about to create some neurodivergent Justice League or anything. But one thing that someone like me can do that is positive, put a human face on suffering without spinning toxic positivity. You may disagree. I understand. Nevertheless, I have value, and this warning has merit. It can gather a crowd, maybe more capable folks who can run with it. Yet, there are 4 things we can do right now to effect change. 1. Share this warning with friends, with government representatives. Make it visible, make it heard. 2. Join the conversation below in comments. Your story matters. Your voice counts. 3. Connect with organizations already fighting this fight. They need our numbers. 4. Create a mutual support network. Might be neighbors who check in with each other, or more. Shared travel, shopping together. Mutual defense. A small community of choice. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is the dance of Shiva, baby. When that Hindu god becomes the destroyer of worlds, in the famous Oppenheimer quote, his flashing feet destroying the illusion of denial, invoking a new creation. Feel your fear. Ride it. Do something with its strength. Together, maybe, just maybe, we can destroy ignorance, make something new. We must honor our fear, then act together. In coming weeks, we'll challenge the medical model of autism with an episode called CBT Never Worked for Autistic Me. Why? Part of a series on how neurodivergent individuals can build sustainable, authentic lives with or without professional intervention. AutisticAF Out Loud podcast is supported solely by listeners like you. Know a friend or family member with a sincere interest in neurodiversity? Please consider emailing this episode to them. We believe no one should have to pay to be autistic. Many neurodivergent people can't afford subscription content. Your Ko-fi tip of any amount helps keep this resource free for them. Or join our paid subscriber community at johnnyprofanenap.substack.com for ongoing support. Link in description.